Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever been in a room where one person speaks and everyone just leans in, while another person, maybe just as smart, can't seem to get anyone to listen? Well, that's what we're digging into today, the art and science behind truly persuasive leadership. So let's just start with the biggest question of all. What actually makes a message stick? Why do some ideas fade the second you hear them, while others stay with you for years? It's definitely not just about having the right facts or talking the loudest. No, it goes way deeper than that. The secret, it turns out, isn't some single magic bullet. It's a fusion. The most powerful messages are a blend of three distinct core elements. When you weave these together, you create something that doesn't just get heard, it gets remembered. It inspires. And here they are, the Persuasion Power Trio. We're talking about logic, empathy, and narrative. Seriously, think of it like a three-legged stool. If you take away any one of those legs, the whole thing just collapses. Getting this combination right is what turns a good speaker into a truly great leader. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with empathy, because that's the bedrock. It's how you build a real connection. Then, we'll jump into narrative, which is the vehicle that actually carries your idea forward. And finally, we'll cover logic. That's the framework that gives your message its strength and credibility.
All right, let's dive into pillar number one, connecting. Because before anyone will listen to what you have to say, they have to feel that you get them. And this is where emotional intelligence isn't just a nice to have, it's the absolute foundation for any kind of authentic influence. So what do we even mean by emotional intelligence here? It's pretty simple, really. It's the ability to read the room, to understand what your audience is feeling, and, just as important, to be aware of and manage your own emotions. That's the key to forging a connection that feels real. And what's really cool is how these benefits all stack up. It all starts with that authentic connection, right? Once you have that, you start to build trust. And when people trust you, your ability to persuade them goes through the roof, which of course just makes your communication that much more effective. See how they all build on each other?
Okay, so you've built that connection, people feel you, now what? How do you get them to move from just listening to actually doing something? Well, that brings us to our second pillar, narrative. Storytelling is the engine that takes a static idea and turns it into something that can truly drive action. This quote just nails it. Pay close attention to that phrasing. Strengthen their capacity to influence. A story isn't just window dressing, it's a strategic tool. When you combine it with that empathy we just talked about and the logic we're about to get to, it creates this incredible multiplier effect on your influence. First things first, a story's job is to paint a picture of the future. It has to answer the question, where are we all going? A really powerful narrative lets your audience see and feel the destination you're describing. It makes an abstract idea feel totally real. Next up, a good story builds a bridge of trust. When you share a real narrative, maybe about a struggle or a failure or a big win, you're being human, you're being vulnerable. And that creates a bond that makes people believe not just in your message, but in you. And finally, this is the whole point. Vision is great, trust is essential, but the ultimate goal of a persuasive story is to get people to move. A great narrative gives everyone a shared sense of purpose, a reason to get on board and say, yeah, I want to be a part of that. So we have our empathy, we have our story, but how do we wrap it all up so it lands with real impact? That brings us to our third and final pillar, logic. And logic really shines through in the delivery. This is where you give your message a clear, credible backbone that makes it stick. I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day, right? On one side, you've got a message that's probably packed with facts, but it's confusing, it's boring, it's forgettable. But on the other side, you have the persuasive message. It doesn't throw out the data, it weaves that data into a story, gives it a clear structure, and delivers it with actual energy. The difference is huge. So how do we deliver that persuasive message? It really boils down to these three things. Your tone of voice sets the entire emotional vibe. The structure, that's your logic made visible. It's the clear A to B to C path that people can easily follow. And finally, your delivery itself. That's what brings the whole thing to life with passion. Okay, so we have all our pieces now. We've got the empathy, the narrative, and the logic. Now let's put it all together and create a complete blueprint for influence that you can actually use. And this visual really says it all, doesn't it? It's not about being really good at one of these things, it's about balance.
Real, lasting, persuasive power comes when all three of these elements are working together in harmony. Each part is just as important as the others.
And that right there is the end game. This isn't about winning an argument or tricking people. It's about building the skill to genuinely connect with all sorts of different people and to share a message that sticks with them long after you finish talking.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought, a challenge really. Thinking about this framework, empathy, narrative, logic, what is the one story that you need to tell? What's your vision, your big idea? And what kind of impact could you have if you told it just a little more persuasively?